This is Adam with my third video on for the third week on the stories we read this week. We read The White Heron, The Wife of His Youth, and A Sweatshop Romance. Um, in The White Heron, the main character is an 8-year-old little girl. Um, she uh, moves to go live with her grandmother in the New England area, and she is out one day. She's a very responsible little girl. She has a lot of chores. She doesn't come from much money. They don't have a lot of money. They work hard for what they have. She comes across a young hunter, one night in the woods, who asks her if he could spend the night at her house. He seems to be from the city, based on the fact that he was surprised with how neat and tidy their home was. Um, at the end of his stay, he asks or offers I don't know how to say her name, Sylvie. He offers her $10 if she will reveal where the white heron is, and she really uses her morals and decides, I'm not going to tell him. It doesn't matter how much money he offers me, even though I come from a family that doesn't have much money. I'm not going to accept his bribe to tell him where the white heron is. And I thought that was very noble, very honorable of Sylvie to do that. The next story was The Wife of His Youth. It's about a black northerner, Mr. Ryder, I believe. He's a light-skinned guy. And basically the whole story is about, him wanting to be in this organization. He is in the organization. He's like the leader. He hosts parties at his house. And really, like, the organization, it's established to, like, maintain society and teach proper, like, social conduct. And one day an older looking African American woman comes to his doorstep. He's missing, or she is she's got messed up teeth. She doesn't look very clean, and she tells him this beautiful story. She tells him this story about how, she was married, they were slaves, and he went away, and he said when it was safe he would come back, he would find her, and she hasn't stopped looking for her husband. It's been 25 years, and he doesn't understand. I can understand looking for your husband for a year, for 5 years, for 10 years, but 25 years, that's a long time. That's dedication. And he decides, I'm going to bring this woman to the party I'm hosting tonight. I'm going to tell everybody her story. And he does that, and he's supposed to be getting engaged at this big party to this beautiful girl. He's been thinking of the perfect way to propose, and he's supposed to do it at this party. So at that time in the party, when he's supposed to be doing that, he's telling this story of this homeless-looking woman. And then at the end of the story, he goes and, essentially, this is my wife, meet my wife. He brings that lady out. That was his wife. She had been searching for him for 25 years. And, even though he met this other lady, he was still in love with his wife. She was loyal to him, and he went with her. The third story, I know I have to hurry up. I'm going way over time. The Sweatshop Romance. It's about Russian immigrants. They come to the United States to better themselves, to succeed. One day, some other immigrants are in their shop. The owner's wife is showing it off. She wants to show, you can be successful over here. Look at these things we have. And while, they're showing off the shop, the owner, he asks one of the girls that works there, he kind of treats her like a servant. He's like, go and get these people drinks. And David, another guy that works there, he stands up and he goes, you shouldn't do that. You don't have to do that. They were both immediately fired. There's another guy that works there, Heyman. Heyman was in love with the girl who stood up. He wanted to marry her, but he didn't have the courage. He didn't have the courage to ask her to marry him. He didn't have the courage to stand up for her. And it ended up that David ended up, they dated for 2 weeks, I think it was, ended up getting married, he stood up for her, and that's what people want. People want somebody that will fight for them and stand up for them. All three of these stories were written during a tremendous period in American history. The Industrial Revolution. Immigrants are coming over. It's a lot going on. And all of these stories, they show examples of realism. They put the reader, yourself, into the shoes of these individuals, and they question your morals. What are you going to do? It makes you really, really think. And I thought that was great of these stories. Moral stories are tremendous. You can see how other people think. You can see how you think. You can, communicate with other people about these stories and really talk about them. And you never know what's going to happen with success. That's another thing about these. All these people are trying to be successful, and I thought that these three stories were great stories to show morals.